Hello, happy Thursday. How is everyone doing? Oh, all right. I cannot believe it's Thursday and where is February going? Yeah, I missed going live yesterday, so I do apologize for that. I had a crazy migraine yesterday. But if you did see, I posted an audio for yesterday's conversation, which was about traffic and how traffic isn't the world, and some things to look at regarding traffic. Hey Sharon, how you doing? So yeah, today is a very interesting topic. It was something that I've been thinking about talking about for a while, so I wanted to make sure to get this information out to you. As I see a lot of people really struggling with Etsy and spending a lot of time on Etsy, um, and not necessarily getting the returns that they're looking for. So I'm going to give you, you know, an overview of when would be a good time to break up with Etsy, but really looking at it strategically if it makes sense. Um, I love looking at numbers, so looking at numbers around that and how to do it with a plan if it does make sense for you. So it might get you off the fence if you've been like, I don't know what to do with my Etsy store. Where should I be focusing my time? Should I be focusing it on Shopify or Facebook, or what should I be doing? So super excited. So I'm going to just jump in. I'm going to get going because this one might be a little bit longer than some of my other lives. So today's live is all about, you know, how to break up with Etsy if you're ready to, why you would want to, and how to do it with a plan. So Etsy is a great platform for makers. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it isn't. I'm not going to sit here and bash Etsy. I was on Etsy for a long time, and I know that there's lots of people who do really well on Etsy. I know that there's people who know Etsy like the back of their hand, and they're like any platform, extremely knowledgeable in it, and they know how to make Etsy work for them. They use Etsy as a tool, not that they are a tool for Etsy. And I'm not calling you a tool. I'm saying that you are being sucked into Etsy instead of Etsy working for you. So when Etsy first came out, it was really the one and only marketplace for makers and vintage sellers. It was really the only space online that was available. Facebook Marketplace didn't exist. And groups back in the day when Etsy came out were really intimate. They were very, very localized. They weren't these big global groups like this group is full of people all over the place. They really weren't like that. Like I know, and it's actually funny. It popped up on my memories, my Facebook memories the other day. I had a group for my high school math class. We had a group on Facebook. So, and I'm still in it. Grade 11 math, good times. Um, and we didn't really utilize it the same way that we do. Like, obviously, Facebook Marketplace didn't exist until recently, actually. And a lot of people weren't using groups in the way that we now use them for marketing and getting to know our ideal clients and all of that. So there wasn't really that. There wasn't really Instagram in the same way that there is now. People used Instagram to take photos of themselves. And I get that people still do that, but there is so much marketing now built into Instagram with influencers. They didn't exist before. And Twitter has always kind of just been what Twitter is, which is sharing your opinion. Obviously, there's tons of brands on there. It's a way to connect with a brand, but it's not used for selling in the same way that Etsy was. You could obviously build a website back in the day when Etsy first came out, but the thing is, back in that time, which is like, I think Etsy came out in 2003. So back then, if you wanted an e-commerce website, it was going to cost around $15,000. Like it was pretty expensive to get an e-commerce website. There was nothing like Shopify. There was custom coded websites. WooCommerce didn't even exist for WordPress at that time. So, it was such a huge investment, especially as a maker, as an artist, as an artisan, to get yourself selling online. So Etsy really made sense. It was such a great tool. And when it came out, it was new, it was affordable, it was innovative, and it wasn't oversaturated. Like the people who built Etsy really truly wanted artists and artisans to be successful and vintage sellers and like those unique sellers online. And their platform was the space to do that. You know, it was great for you to build up your brand, to get found online across the world. Like I said, Facebook wasn't what it is today. So it was really your opportunity to get to meet new customers from around the world, which was really, really cool and unique. And you didn't really have to worry too much about getting found back in the day. Not like today. So now, you know, I don't exactly know at what point Etsy started to shift into the current way that it is, like current today's Etsy. I joined in 2013, so I know that even I missed like the golden era of Etsy that a lot of makers talk about. But you know, what I see a lot of now is people really frustrated with Etsy. I see people who are, you know, frustrated with an outdated system. You know, they constantly are doing live updates and testing, which actually affects your business, and you have no control over it. Their search algorithm is a little bit jerky, like Google, in the sense of they don't necessarily tell you exactly how they do things. If you watched my video on Google is a jerk, that's very similar to Etsy's algorithm. And there's a lot more recently people reselling products that they're, you know, that are not handmade on there. I've seen a lot of, you know, people stealing other makers' photos, other makers' products, and then selling them, reselling, or just flat out using copyrighted materials like Disney, and I almost said Star Wars, but that's Disney now too. So that kind of content on there, and they're not necessarily being monitored. So it's just, you know, when you're building a business and you're paying for a platform, it's really frustrating to also have to deal with that on top of it. So then there's also customer expectations, which is not Etsy's fault at all. I would 100% say that people's expectations of online shopping today have come from Amazon. And Amazon's, you know, get it now, get it quick, get it cheap kind of mentality. And, you know, shoppers have a really hard time distinguishing between this value and service that Etsy sellers have and a lot of the stuff you can get on Amazon. And I know that there's obviously handmade at Amazon, but that is very much different than Etsy and how Etsy used to be. So, you know, there comes a time when you have to decide if the current trajectory, there we go, of Etsy is worth it, if it makes sense for your business, or, you know, if it's time to have a respectful breakup. And that's what we're talking about today. So, you know, I have personal experience with Etsy. I do not have personal experience with Etsy in terms of how it used to be back in the day. I'm basically talking about Etsy today as it is, from everything I've seen makers share about Etsy and from everything that I had personal experience of. So why would you break up with Etsy? One of the main reasons why you might want to break up with Etsy is because you are already you're a big fish in a big pond. So you already have brand recognition. People know who you are. You are a standalone brand who's using Etsy, or a lot of these people that I see that have this, and there's quite a few of you in this group, have Etsy down pat. You may have been one of the originals from the golden era. You know, you have really big social media accounts and followers who are really engaged, who love your products, who get what you do, that get that your products are the solution to their problem. You have a really active email list. Your website is doing well on its own, or you have an in-person store perhaps, and you know, have you have that base and that foundation inside of your business already. You are not necessarily starting from scratch. The other thing, another reason why you may want to break up with Etsy is because you're doing all of the work driving people to Etsy. You may be using Etsy because you believe that because it's a marketplace, you have that extra traffic that's going to get you directed there, or that's going to be directed to you, and you're primarily using it as a checkout. So you are using it, you're sending people your links, you might be selling on Facebook and then linking to Etsy and having them check out on Etsy. So that would be another reason to possibly look at breaking up with Etsy. And the reason that I say that is because you already are doing all the work that the benefit of using Etsy is supposed to solve. They're supposed to be sending people to you. They're a marketplace. That's what it's for. So the fact that you're doing all the work is very counterintuitive. You could be doing that for your own website, or your own space, your Facebook group, whatever it is. You spend more time keeping up with Etsy SEO and making changes than making sales. So this is where your numbers come into it. You really need to look at how much time am I actually spending learning about Etsy SEO, implementing that SEO, testing that SEO, spending money on ads. What is the cost of that? If you are looking at selling something that doesn't have a lot of if you're not making a lot of money on your products and you're also spending 4 of the 8 hours of your workday building your Etsy site and working and tweaking and testing it out, you really want to look at how much am I not being paid because I'm now investing my time into building my Etsy site, while also paying them. So it's the same as spending that time directing people to Etsy or using it as a checkout. It's not a very efficient or affordable checkout to be using. So you want to really look at that. And something that I love using whenever I'm doing something that is not necessarily directly related to making money is I time track. If you use Google Chrome, there's a free Google Chrome plugin, I think that's what they call them, called Toggle, which is Toggl, and it will time track how much time you actually spend doing things. So time track yourself and then look at, okay, today I made, $100 and I want to pay myself $20 an hour. How much of that time was I working on actually, either making sales or working on orders or that part of my business, and how much of it was I actually working on building my Etsy? Because I think that's something people don't factor into their business, and it's really important to. So if you look at this and you go, okay, well, maybe I might want to break up with Etsy, you're still on the fence, you need to look into how to do it and how you would actually do it, because I think it's great for people to fully know what they're going into before they go into it. I hate when I see people make a really rash decision. They just make like a pure emotional reaction decision. They do something without thinking it through, basically what I'm saying. And I would never, ever, ever advise anyone to break up with Etsy without ensuring that they're doing it for the right reasons, and they know how to do it in a smart way, and they have a plan. So that's the third part. But how would you actually do it if you're on the fence? So the first thing is Etsy has so many policies. You don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to message your current customers and be like, hey, I'm leaving Etsy, come to my website and link to them because you can get your Etsy site shut down. And that's not a good time. That is not how I would recommend doing this at all. Because again, that's it's a reaction to the situation. So you don't want to just jump ship or like fly off the handle and just do it on the fly. You really want to instead utilize what you've already built on Etsy and then make a plan and follow it. Like really make a plan and follow it. So if you're like, ooh, a plan, how would I plan this out? I've actually gone through the steps of how to plan out, how to consider, and then implement a plan to break up with Etsy. And essentially, you have to have a backup plan. So if you're in this group, most likely you have a website. So you want to ensure that you are choosing, you are deciding right now, like you have to decide that your website is the place where people are going to find you. And Andrea asked, my Etsy is a well-oiled machine, or she said, my Etsy is a well-oiled machine. I need to figure this out for my Shopify. It's the exact same thing. You have to have a plan. So this is not necessarily for people who have Etsy down pat. Like I mentioned earlier, you might be using Etsy as a tool. You're not the person who is spending all their time hoping and wishing and working their butts off to get their Etsy to work for them. So if your Etsy is already working for you and you consider it a tool in your business, it's not something that's sucking the time out, you're actually getting that return on your investment, this is not necessarily for you. You are very lucky, and you are in a very small minority of people who actually have that like simple, well-oiled machine built into Etsy. But regardless, you want to ensure that you have your space online, your website. If you're here, probably a Shopify website, you want to ensure that it's working properly first. That's the step number one. You don't want to just close your Etsy down and then be like, yep, everyone go to my website, and then your website isn't working, because you're going to be sending now all of your traffic to your website and it's not working, and you're going to be like, this is frustrating, I'm not getting sales, and that isn't workable either. So you don't want to jump ship and then build your website. You want to build things together. You want to make sure that your website is user-friendly, that it has gotten sales in the past, so it's tried and tested, and that it looks better than your Etsy. There is nothing more frustrating than when I go on someone's Shopify site and it's a duplicate of their Etsy shop. The whole point of your website is it's yours. It's your space. It's your brand space to live online. It's your representation of your business. It is the online space for your business to live. Consider it the home and the heart of your business. So you do not want to have an Etsy lookalike as your website. It is your space. So make sure that it gives people the warm and fuzzies when they get on it, and that they actually feel like your brand. So you want to make sure that you work on both your Etsy and your website congruently. If you are looking to remove yourself from Etsy and get onto your website. So you want to start slowly sharing that your website is the place to be without going against Etsy's terms of service. Like I mentioned earlier, do not message people. Do not message your old Etsy clients to come to your website. You will get in trouble. So how do you do this? How do you actually get people over there? So you want to direct everything in your business, everywhere where you show up online, to your website. So how do you do that? You want to add your website as the link in your social media accounts, in groups, for any advertising that you do, any marketing. You are only going to promote your website. You are going to remove your Etsy link from everything. And this is only after you ensure that your website is working properly. Do not skip that step and then start doing this, because that's just that is going to be a bad time. You're going to have a bad time if you do that. Once you have that figured out, you want to make sure that when someone purchases from you on Etsy, you are slowly showing them to go to your website. You're training people to go to your website. So you're going to include information in your packaging that says, come to my website. It's launching this date. If you want, you could put in your launch date, or it's already open, here's a discount. You want to make it an incentive that will actually have them purchase. Most of the time, people will not jump over to your website unless it's above 15%. 10%, sometimes they will. If they were already going to purchase, they might sign up for your newsletter to grab that 10% and then purchase. But if you're trying to get people who are used to Etsy over to your website, you want to go 15% and above. Otherwise, they're very unlikely to come over to your website. Because it's not their primary place to shop. That's the reason, just so you understand behind. We're trying to train people to see that your website is safe. If someone messages you and says, hey, you offered me 20% off on your website, can I get that for your Etsy store? You tell them no, it's only for your website. Do not honor those discounts on Etsy. That's the thing. If you truly want to be free from Etsy, you have to lay down the law and just say, boo, put that in place. It's your business. You run it. Your clients and customers do not run you. The other thing that I really love that I see so many people do, and I think is just brilliant, is create your hashtag and share it everywhere. Quinn of Sugar Crush Co. does this so beautifully, and it works so well on her website. You have people, and you can put it on this coupon code on the flip side as well in your packaging for Etsy. You can put on, this is our hashtag. If you use it, you will get featured on our Instagram, and let them know that that photo will actually show up on your website as well. You will now, as of March 2nd, need to install InstaFeed to do that, but it's super simple and it takes like 2 seconds to do. So you want to make sure that people know that if they share your photos, they're actually going to show up on your website, because a lot of stores don't do that. A lot of online stores don't do that. They don't put in that effort, and it takes like 30 seconds to do. So do that. The next thing is, this is probably my biggest pet peeve in the whole world. If you've ever asked me this, I go a little ham on this. Whatever you do, do not link to Etsy on your website. Don't do that. Just don't do it. The whole point of your website is that is your brand. As soon as you link to Etsy, you give Etsy the validation of that's the place to shop from, and that's not the point. If you're paying for your Shopify, you want people to use your Shopify website. You don't want them going and leaving, because what you've just done is you've created a backlink to Etsy. You've just told Google that your Etsy site is more important than your website, and then people go and check out there. It is super counterintuitive. Don't do it. So please, so that I don't have a heart attack, please don't do that. Yeah. And remove the mention of Etsy anywhere on your website, all over the place. If it's in your about page, if it's in your story of how you started, remove it. Remove Etsy. Remove Etsy from your website. Whatever you do, don't mention Etsy. One of the other things, this is a new topic, but one of the other things that you want to plan for is educating people who are now slowly learning through all of the things you just did, through your links, through your marketing materials, through everything, that your website is really easy to use. You really want to ensure that people get, your website is super easy. This is why you have to test it first. You want to make sure that people know your website is way better than Etsy because it's super easy. You want to tell them the perks of using your website. So if you're offering them that 15% off discount, it's only available on your website. If you offer free shipping, it's only available on your website. You really want to educate people on why your website is the best place to buy from you online. You can do it through videos. Videos are probably the best. I know I talk about video a lot, but they are by far the best because it shows you, it shows if you're sincere. It's going to show if you're sincere or not. And they get to see you. And what's really cool is you can even do super free and easy, screen share of just going through your website. I love when someone, and I'm not a huge Instagram person, just totally get that. I don't post. If you look at my Instagram, I don't post on it. I don't do stories. I've never done an Instagram story. I did my first Facebook story the other day, and I was like, what am I doing? But something people do is they'll take a little video of their website of like, and then they'll put like the discount code for the day or something that's for sale for the day, and they'll just like put it in their stories and invite people to come to their website and show them how to put that code into your Shopify store. Like go through it like you're the customer, because then that visual, that image is going to be in their mind when they come on your site. They're going to be like, oh, I already saw this, or they can refer back to your story. So that's really cool too. So use video to educate your people. It's so key. Same with like new releases, new products, anything like that. Video, put it on wherever your people hang out. Let them know what it looks like on your website. Even if it's a picture, sometimes video and picture of your screen can be really wonky, so you can take a screenshot on your computer or on your phone even, and use that as well. I've seen people do that, and it's great. Something else I just want to mention, if you're going to do a screenshot, and I'm super guilty of this, is I let my phone get down to like 1% and then I take screenshots. If you have your battery information or any of the time, the date, anything like that, crop it out, because people hate seeing that. People don't like it. So make sure that you crop that out, just as like a tip, a tech tip. Once you start seeing more people come through your website, then that's the time to make a date to break up with Etsy. Once you start seeing that these things are working, that people are coming into your website, then that's really when you need to finally decide. And I'm talking to people who do not have their Etsy site running like a well-oiled machine. If your Etsy site is bringing you $1 million a year, do not close your Etsy site. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people where Etsy is not a good return on your investment, on your time and your money. That you're the only people I'm talking to. Otherwise, you can use these tips to just increase your website appearance. And I still recommend ensuring your website's working, ensuring that you're pointing people to your website, not referring Etsy on your website at all, like all of this stuff. But this is really, if you're looking to break up with Etsy, these are the things to do. So make that date, put it in your calendar and stick to it. It's your word and the matter that you're actually taking this on for your business. So super, super key. I have my notes here. Let me just do that. The next thing that you want to do, and I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything, you should see my list. This is like crazy. Is tell people when that date is. You really want to make sure, if anyone has switched over from your Etsy to your Shopify, and you'll know that because they've used that unique discount code, you can email them because that's not against Shopify's terms of service. So use that list of people who have used that discount code. Thank them for trusting you, for honoring your business, and thank them with like a unique special code. It can be the same one, can be something new, but really give them that loyalty discount because they followed you, basically. They made that plunge. There are some people who will not follow you. There are some people who are extremely loyal to Etsy, and that's fine. But if you want to grow your brand, you have to have more than just a shop. That's basically the point of this. And then the thing is, you want to celebrate your breakup, which sounds really funny, but you do. You want to make sure that you 100% own it, that it feels right, it feels aligned with your business, it feels aligned with you. There's no kind of, that second guessing. And the thing is, once you actually start seeing results, you start seeing people coming to your website, you start seeing and like feeling that good feeling of hearing like Shopify's cha-chings instead of Etsy's cha-chings on your phone. It feels really good. So like go live, pop champagne, like thank your customers for being with you. Share with the people who haven't made the plunge that you're super excited that you're breaking up with Etsy. Like let people know and celebrate it with them, because people will celebrate those wins with you because they've seen your videos, they've seen you, and they know you and they love you. So overall, it's not an easy decision to make. I'm not going to pretend that it is. When I left Etsy, I did the same thing. I had to ensure that my Shopify site was working. It was not necessarily an easy decision, and there was a lot of things when I left Etsy that were not happening like they are now. Etsy has changed a lot. But you really want to make sure that Etsy is not a crutch. It's not a crutch inside of your business. It's not something that's holding you back. I think it's a really great tool. I think if you can use it like a tool, it's really great. I think it's a great platform if it's working for you without spending any time on it. And I'm just talking like you're not touching it except for adding products to it. Like that's what I mean by that. If that's the case, 100% keep it. If the return on that investment makes sense, keep your Etsy. I'm not telling you to get rid of it. But I don't want anyone to have to be working on their Etsy like it's a job while also paying them, because that is extremely counterintuitive. So yeah, that's it. If you are considering breaking up with Etsy, let me know what's your breakup date, because I'm so down to jump on your Facebook Live with you and celebrate with champagne. I have done this before with other clients, so let me know your breakup date if this is you. If you're like, okay, this sounds great, but I'm stuck on the I don't know how to make my website work, join my call tomorrow. Join my call tomorrow, because this is what it's about. It's about actually being able to celebrate breaking up with Etsy and making your website work. That is all it's about. So anyways, if you're interested in my call, definitely sign up. There are 2 spots left. It's gonna be awesome. It's for 4 weeks, 4 calls, and it's super cheap. So yep, that's all. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and let me know if you're gonna break up with Etsy, because I will celebrate with you. Okay, bye.